allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 27, 2015 regular meeting?
Second.
Rowdy made the motion, Carol seconds, that an all yes?
Yes.
Public comments, Ben, I guess we have anything. If everybody would, a couple of things. I'd like for everyone to join us in a moment of silence here in just a second. We had really two things. One, in case you haven't heard, one of our bus drivers passed away today. His name is Paul Adkins. Paul had worked for the board for 12 years. He lived over on Long Branch. Or did he drive in Nebraska?
Guy Valley was in there.
Drove over in that area. He's only 46 years old, so we certainly want to extend our condolences to his family and all his friends, and I'm sure all the transportation people will be aware of that. The other thing, just for, it's a neighbor of ours here, a neighboring county. Mark Sumter is the president of the Board of Education in Boone County. His mother passed away as Esma Sumter. She had passed away, and we got a copy of that obituary. So I was reading through that, and aside from everything else in the relationship with Mr. Sumter, is that she she was a kindergarten aide for many, many years in Boone County, member of the West Virginia Association of School Retired Employees and all that. So if we could just have a moment of silence in honor of those two people and their families, please. We didn't have any public comments, we don't have anybody on presentation, so we're going to go directly to administrative motion, please. Red makes a motion, Larry seconds it. Jeff?
Item A, school volunteers on occasion may also serve as bus chaperones for athletic events, academic competitions, or school outings and have completed volunteer orientation. That's the only item we have.
Okay. If there's not anything else, anybody have any questions about that? Issues there? If not, then I'll call for the question. That an all yes on this, on the administrative item?
Yes.
Yeah, all yes there. We go to finance. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Carol? Seconded by? I'll second Fred. Okay. Bill?
Item A, schedule of invoices totaling $258,907.74. Invoices are available for public review at the county office.
If you have any questions,
See,
Barbara.
I have one question. When does the Semco contract take effect?
I don't recall a date on that contract.
Well, I was told these bills on here are not on the contract.
These are the ones we've recently approved the contract tonight.
Right. I'll have to go back, I'll have to look and see, because I'm not sure.
But I'm saying that the contract we've recently approved.
Yes,
Right.
I'll find out. I'll send you an email.
Okay. And what is the issue with them, Fred?
There's no issue. They told me that we were paying them so many $1,000s tonight. They said this bill was not under contract.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Not under the new contract.
Right, not under the new contract, that's right.
Do you happen to know whether or not it reflected the number of hours or any that they worked?
Yes,
It did?
yes.
Okay. I'll be able to find that out. Okay. Anybody have anything else on the invoices? Okay, if not, then finance, is that an all yes vote?
Yes.
Okay, personnel, can I have a motion? Rowdy?
Second.
Rowdy made the motion, Larry seconded. Jeff?
Go ahead, Pete. I'm not going to take it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Item A, employment of short, long-term substitute professional personnel. Item B, employment of substitute service personnel. C, employment of extracurricular personnel, and D, resignations and retirements.
Okay. All right. Are you going to talk about the other?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we
I'll
just do that while we-
give you an update like I always have. Now, some of these, like Hamlin, well, I'll just go down the list. Midway, those are, we continue to repost. We don't get anyone qualified. And, you know, elementary, you would have never thought that. Duval, special ed teacher, we have one that'll be on a permit. The first class permit will be projected to be hired at the next meeting. Hamlin, a math teacher will be hired on the one we had posted. But it's a teacher coming from Duval, so they won't move until next school year. At the high school, we still have the 2 math positions, they'll be reposted. Special ed position, 2 of them. Social studies, projected to be, someone to be hired. They interviewed today and give us a name on the 17th. Part-time sign language will be reposted, and we'll be posting the counseling job since Ms. Sanders has resigned. West Hamlin is okay, Ranger is okay with staff now. Guy Valley, same as it was, health reposted, Hearts, still English 8, 2 special ed, and PE and a health.
But let me ask this, we have we have a counselor at LCHS that is resigning,
Yes.
and we need to fill that position. Is this a position that was not under contract?
Yes, we have an answer for this position.
I mean,
We have interested people.
Okay. But procedurally, my question is more procedurally, even though this person's under contract, they can resign in this November, are they allowed to seek employment elsewhere?
Yes.
But if you chose, we could not.
That's
We're not
superintendent.
required to let them know,
Right.
right?
And my response has been the same, I've been consistent, as long as we have an answer.
Okay.
We have someone who can take that employee's place. And in this instance, this is an opportunity for this counselor to elevate herself into a role there at the Department of Education. And I didn't want to prevent her from being able to do
So
so.
I just, my question came more from the perspective of all these positions we can't fill, and,
And we have a counselor that's currently being paid under a grant. And that person will dry up this year, so in essence, we're gonna have an additional counselor that we can probably not have to cut someone
We
in
are,
spring.
we're gonna benefit from this process.
but I don't know this council, and it wasn't a personnel decision. I just wanted to know, as a matter of course, you know, as many shortages as there are in educational positions across the state, not just here, if we had the ability to at least keep someone from seeking employment elsewhere, if we could fill a position, your answer is we do.
We can hold.
You
we
have
can
that
hold.
position. You have that power, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Very good question. Okay, anybody have any other personnel questions? Anything? Okay, if not, then I'll call for questions at an August on the personnel schedule.
Yeah.
Any comments and concerns? Any board members have anything?
What about the intercom at Midway?
Right on my list.
Oh.
You look at my list.
I know.
You're starting to write smaller, I guess.
Yeah. Wrote too close to the paper for me to read.
We did have someone come in and take a look at the old intercom system, and it's basically in disrepair. It would cost, I guess, a small fortune to repair that system and get it up and operational again. It is possible to add speakers outside to the phone system. You know, they talked about being able to use that phone system as a means to communicate throughout the building. That's an option. But as I recall, Mr. Davis mentioned that is also, it could be a concern, because if someone happens to be on the phone somewhere in the building, and they're not able to use that system. So Mr. Davis is looking into the cost of purchasing a wireless PA system. And he's gonna have some quotes for us next week. There's some time that we can look at. So,
That's good. With the new the technology now, there's going to be a lot of new. Anything else, Fred?
No.
Anybody else have anything for them? Okay, Mr. Mickey, what else you got?
Mr. Cummings informed me yesterday that Alan Holder with 911 had gotten in touch with him. And I guess there was a grant that 911 received that's going to be able to provide new digital radios for all of our school buses. And the installation of those radios is going to begin very soon. And what's nice about the digital radio is that no matter where the bus operator would happen to be in the state of West Virginia, that driver would be able to communicate with us using the towers that are set up. So it's phenomenal. I'm sure those radios are quite expensive. Mr. Cummings didn't know what the cost was, but this grant's going to fund that activity and replace all of our current radios.
The current ones would be,
You mean communicate with, they're gonna have to be someone sitting close to a receiver?
Well, I mean, the bus-to-bus,
Bus to bus.
communicate, as well as anyone who'd be in the bus garage. So it would work like our regular radios do, except these would operate statewide, no matter where the bus would be. So if the bus took a group of kids to Morgantown, that bus operator should be able to communicate with the central office of the bus garage.
And I would imagine these radios would also allow them to communicate with law enforcement, et cetera, won't they?
That's what I was thinking, press 911,
Yeah.
if they could call 911, if they couldn't get a hold of someone.
I mean, since the grant's coming through 911, I
Good
would
thing,
assume
right.
that.
You would think so.
Right. So I don't know any more information than what I've just shared with you, but I'll find out some additional information for the next board meeting.
it appears though that if this happens, that some of the existing radios will be taken off and not used anymore.
Well, I guess there's some kind of trade-in that for each one of the old radios we have, we'll get, I believe it's $250 a piece for them, is what Mr. Cummings explained to me. So it's basically trading them in on a new digital radio.
So we get a credit, a $250 credit per new radio, and the grant covers the difference between the old and new.
Right.
Okay, so we don't have to declare surplus.
No.
Speaking of surplus, what's the status of their bus auction?
Well, we're close. I know that all the equipment, everything that we needed to remove off the old buses out there, that's happened. And they were going to take some new photos of the buses to post on the website that we use. So I'd say very soon we'll see those buses out there for public auction. And I've got one more.
I can see three things.
I spoke to Dave Ferguson today. We've been playing phone tag for a few days. He has prepared a cost estimate for the addition of pre-K classrooms, 4 classrooms at West Hamlin Elementary School as part of a possible MIP submission, as well as a cost estimate proposal for what it would look, what would be involved, entailed in bringing Guy Valley Middle School kids to the West Hamlin site. He will be here next, at the next board meeting on November the 17th to share this information with the board
That would be at West Ham.
at West Hamlin.
Now, will he, at that time, have some cost estimates?
He'll have cost proposals to give the board some idea of what that would look like, as well as sketches or renderings of what the additions would look like. And, he indicated to me today that he thinks or believes that there's more than enough room down there, certainly for the pre-K classrooms, and he feels confident as he finishes up his work that even eventually bringing the middle school students, if the board would decide to submit that needs project.
Onto the existing property or with the purchase of additional
No,
property?
he doesn't think we would need any additional property.
I guess he's going to share with us how he would envision that, those additions, where they would be, right?
Yeah, because at West Hamlin, they have, what, 3 or 4 modulars now that sit behind the school and across and access road.
Well, that's what we'll have to see, because I guess we had some concern there that the 4-room addition might infringe upon the playground and all of that.
Right. So
We
we'll
just
have all that
We'll just have to see
information.
where he says it's gonna be. Now, you're on a timeline of February for the submission of the forward.
January the 4th is the deadline to submit an MIP.
So I wonder when he would be able to tell the board what our cost would be, or.
I'm hoping that the 17th meeting, he'll know that information.
Okay. Great.
Excuse me. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
Have you heard anybody say anything more about the bleachers or at Hearts?
Well, we do have 4 sets of portable bleachers here in storage that we can assemble for use at Hearts. I visited the property. I looked at the bleachers that are in place, and I discovered that there's 2 sets of bleachers for baseball that are portable that also could be used, and I think maybe in years past have been used for football games. So I think with the existing bleachers, what Mr. Smith has here in storage, that'll address their bleacher needs. Debbie feels like that it will too, Mrs. Dennis.
Do you think he will be putting those together this year, or will he wait until like next football season?
Well, season's over now.
Oh, I know
Just
that.
as soon as he can get to it. He said it wasn't a lot of heavy lifting to get those bleachers together and assembled.
Are they aluminum or are they wood deck?
Aluminum.
Is it, do they have adequate seating for softball and baseball without the?
They do. We would just move those back. They're, what it is, these are like 4 or 5 rows high, and they're probably 12 or 14 feet long. So portable
So you
bleachers.
could just push them.
You can just pick them up and move them wherever you want.
Kind of like they do out here all.
They're just like the bleachers at the softball, or the soccer field at the high school. We have someone taking a look too, because Debbie had mentioned they had problems with their scoreboard and their PA system. And our tech folks, Sean and Dane, are going to take a look at the scoreboard and the PA system to see if it can be repaired. It may be an easy fix for both of them, so hopefully.
Good.
Okay.
And then just to get a status update, as far as doing something with the future football field track at LCHS, we're still doing what? Waiting on a proposal that really addresses what we need versus the last one we got that was outrageous? Is that where we're at, or where are we?
I'm not sure where we are.
Okay.
Well,
We can talk about that in a couple weeks. I'm sure you'll have an answer then.
well, I'll tell you what I'd like to see us do is, you know, field turf, that's name? You know, they were given theirs. What I'd like to see us do is get some specifications that, you know, coincide with what we need out there, and put them out to bid, or whatever the correct terminology is, to see what others may charge to do the very same work. I'm talking about having the site brought up to the proper level and all that, all over, having that aspect of it done, having the drains down, going from one end to the other on each side, and having, as an alternate, maybe seeing what the drainage could be in the field itself, and just kind of have those as alternates. I just feel like that if we would have put that out, that there are those that could give us a better cost on doing these things. And ideally, then, you know, have with just a grass field at this time, that would, you know, if ever got updated, then it could be done, but at least we get it up to the elevation, have the proper drainage there, and have a grass field, and it could be used for practice or whatever you go on. If any of you've been watching of late, you know, there's a big controversy now if field turf is even, you know, safe. what the last I saw after a series that they had on Channel 3, was that the final conclusion is the jury's out. We don't really know. And I know Fred and I, we've talked about it a little bit, and he was talking about, he was watching a Marshall game the other day, and he said, he saw something, all these black things were flying up in the air. I said, yeah, that's what they're talking about. So, one, for cost reasons, this turf is out of our league, but the other is, is it even where we want to go? But I think within the amount of money we have, that it's very feasible that we can put out the bid, to have the work done with the adequate drainage necessary to have a grass field, whether it's used for practice or whatever, and just go from there. At least it's a step in the right direction. I don't know what the committee has proposed of late yet, if they've come up with any other ideas.
No, they really haven't come up with anything else.
And it would be as nice as what we have now, plus they wouldn't have to travel over here.
Well, so obviously, we don't have the funds to do everything we want to do. But at least it'll be a step in the right direction. If you got that part of it done, maybe they could practice over there, even if they weren't ready to have, game ready. They don't have bleachers and all those kind of things. But at least they could begin the process, and I think you could probably end up with establishing your track around it too, which is one of the, the concerns I had, that there was nowhere for track. We're gonna have to do it in incremental steps.
And you have now in the fall, soccer, ladies soccer practice on the ladies soccer field, but the men's soccer practice on Lions Club field. And I'm sure there are scheduling issues between soccer and football.
Right.
And, while you would have to have facilities before they could even really practice over there, how much facility do you really need to practice football? A small building, you have bathrooms available across the street. It has to be more convenient. Well, I don't know. I'm spouting from the hip, but it would just seem to me that it would be a lot easier for the football players to come out of high school and step across the street and practice than it would to jump in their cars and drive over here, so long as they had a safe place to store their gear and a place to use the bathroom. So
that's what I'm not a football coach, but, so many times they aren't really in full equipment. They're out there in shorts and helmets, and, they're not in pads and all. So at those times, it would seem like what you're saying, it would be much easier, and you have the ability to practice right out there in shorts and helmets.
And wear and tear on the field, the Lions Club field has always been an issue. If you use it heavily for practices, it's almost unsuitable for game day. So if you have an alternative practice facility, maybe you practice over here when the weather's nice. But when you get that rainy day when 40 pairs of cleats are going to ruin the grass for the rest of the season, maybe you practice on your practice field. It's just an option, and it's an eyesore, and it's unused. And to sit and wait and hope we're someday going to miraculously have the money to put a turf field in place is a pipe dream. I mean, we are, as a board, looking at incredible budget cuts. Mr. Midkiff mentioned before the meeting that the state budget's tanking even further. We're expecting further budget cuts after the first of the year on top of the ones we've already gotten. And I see it as our ability to do anything is going to be substantially lessened in year 2016, simply because there's going to be even less money. And we struggle now to make ends meet. So to hope that we're going to have $1 million or $2 or $4 million suddenly flow in to put in a turf field, I don't see it happening. Let's do something.
And we've always hoped that we could have all of our facilities on campus. That's the goal, and it may take a while, but that would be so wonderful to have everything on campus to where, it may be a few years, like Rowdy says, but if we could have it all right here on campus, and that would be ideal. Because I know turf has its advantages, weather and whatever, but, look at a lot of professional football teams. They play on, many of them play on grass. I saw George Washington had an issue where somebody had driven on their grass. But George Washington High School has a grass field. Now, I guarantee you, if George Washington wanted to, they could have a platinum field. But for some reason, they've chosen to stay with grass.
St. Albans has a grass field.
A lot of
by
them.
today.
Yeah, and that's not, a lot of it, you just make it to your advantage. But what I'd like to see us do, Rowdy, and I want to get with Mr. Midkiff here, is try to maintain all of the documents that we paid for, you know, the surveys, we did this, that, and that. Well, to get the information necessary to put out the proper specs, so that here, this is what, November just now started, you know, ideally, by maybe the first of the year, that we could put out the bid, something, and then somebody, you know, they can't work obviously in the winter, but maybe by March, beginning of March, they're almost at the point where, you know, you could put it out to bid the first of the year. If you got reasonable bids, you could award them, and then when the weather permitted, around the first of March or so, they could actually get something, you know, done. It's a great time to sow grass, isn't it, Mr. Wilkerson? And get all that done, and then, you know, maybe it's not usable this spring, but, you know, like you say, in the summer and all, for the next season, I think it would be.
Well, it would be more usable in that form this spring than it is right now.
Well, and it would look a heck of a lot better. But I think, you know, we've gotten all the information. We've had designs and, you know, here it's gonna set this way and all, you know, the elevations and all of that. You know, we've got that. It's just a matter of gathering it all and being able to put it in a form, Jeff, to where we can advertise it. So I think there are those out there who would bid on this. Field Turf, I hate to say it, but they're turf people. And I just think we could do better on pricing than they offer us. So if you've got that written down. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Okay. Not any, since we worked so hard and diligently last time, we're gonna get out earlier today. Have a motion to adjourn, let's see what time I've got here on my, 6:27 p.m. Have a motion? Carol, second by?
They want to stay.
Is that an all yes vote?
Yes.
Okay, 6:27 p.m.